I offer the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dolly, would you call the roll, please?
Dagner.
Here.
Kramer. Here. Martin. Here. Stevens.
Here.
And Wender.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We are down to citizen time. But before we start, you're all going to have a chance to talk. But I think you're going to be happy with the action of this board tonight if I read the board numbers correctly. So if you could, wait till the second citizen time, but if you want to, now is the time. And then we have finance chair items, then we'll have Mike Miller after the brief time. Okay, citizen
I have a
time.
question on the agenda. I'm reading that this is a combined meeting.
Yeah.
It should not be a combined meeting. This was a special meeting to discuss with the veterans, and the finance was supposed to be scheduled after.
Well, we are going down to pay bills after John. The idea of combining it was to save meeting expense for the county. Instead of two meetings one night, we combined it into one, so for the.
You know, we just had a discussion that we're not going to do anything at finance meetings other than pay bills. Now all of a sudden we're coming up with this again. I totally disagree with that. I think we should stay with a finance meeting and special meeting. We asked for a special meeting, and that's what we should be doing.
Well, that's what we're into right now.
Well, then let's keep it special, and then we'll go to finance after.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do, John. There's a motion going to be made to recess and go downstairs and pay the bills.
Okay, with that being said, I move that we strike item number 4 from this agenda, and that the agenda before us without item 4 be approved for tonight's meeting.
Okay, moved by Ann, support Barb. All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Is Mike Miller here? Where's Mike?
He was going to come on the next regular board meeting.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, items before the board, Veteran Affairs Office, Mill. What's your pleasure, board? Dolly provided us with a lot of info. I'd like to hear comments from the board.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would start off by, I think it's, we have two options here. One is to form a county office and use it put it on a millage request and form that county office. Truthfully, I'm not real in favor of that. I think the second option is by putting it on a millage request and operating their department like they are right now would be the way to go. If we do put it in a county position, then we have already cuts out there that I don't think that would go over very well with people. So I think if we can put that millage on there, let them up to 1/10 of the mill, would give them the opportunity to request some money and operate like we did in the past.
Other comments, Joe?
I think we have, I agree with John, we have to go over this, because there's two or three different options. And I want to ask you and Dolly this a little bit, but if we go to a millage only 1/10 in November, correct me if I'm wrong, but it still has to be part of the county office?
No.
Are you sure about that? The reason I want to get this clear is because I talked to Lisa, our prosecutor, late afternoon. She only got this paperwork at 1:30 today, has had that time to review it, so I would like to make sure that anything we do tonight, and whatever the motion may be, and we agree on that, it's looked at by her office and either approved or not approved. And they said they could have an opinion back by Monday at 4:30. So just to make sure we don't have the wrong language, wrong ballot language, and we do something wrong, that they have to do a major hiccup and go back and start over again. So I think whatever the motion will be, that then it's got to be pursuant to the, the blessing of the press committee.
For the review.
For the review.
Joe, I totally don't disagree with you on that. An opinion is good. But, we asked Dolly to go out and research this for us and get the information. She's got the Department of Treasury's opinion. She's got the format that Marquette used. She researched this and she did a lot of time in this. And I think out of respect for her, we should take her word for what she said to us and provide it for us.
Well, I want to put Dolly, she's not a lawyer.
No, I'm not.
So to me, it's just prudence to do it right, make sure it's done right. We don't come back here in 4 or 5 days and say, well, we can't do that, let's start all over. And we're back in a time constraint. We don't have any time, so that's why I'm offering this. And that's what Lisa, she couldn't be here tonight. Just have a look at it and say yes or no.
Where's the can at? We're going to kick it down the road tomorrow.
We're not kicking it down the road, we're making sure it's done right.
I'm in favor of a contract that stipulates a lot of different things. The one we had before with the Veteran Service Office was an agreement. A contract is entirely different. I don't think we should add more employees to the county, at all. I think that they're operating well as an agency, a freestanding agency. However, my concern is there's a quote here this is from Carrie Yuan of Treasury to Carol Bronzik. It says, thanks, I found it in my records as well. The issue was that the county was giving money to the nonprofits and had no contractual relationship with the nonprofit to do the duties for the county. That's the crux of it. My other concern is that will they have to forfeit their nonprofit status in order to become a contractor of the county? I don't know if that has to happen or not. There are other contractors who are nonprofit, but I'm not sure. And I'm trying to be as detailed as possible. I don't want to put anybody off. I think we should move ahead with this, pending a review by the prosecutor or our attorney. But I think it should be their office. But there should be a very good contract, and that contract can be developed between now and the time of the millage, so that once if the millage passes, it's all set to go for next year.
Dolly, would you like to comment?
No.
No?
No. I mean, I'm okay with what Dolly did. I will be honest with you. I think it's excellent work and a little confusing, had to be read 3 or 4 times, but that's my problem.
And it took a long time to write.
Okay, and any comments?
Well, I'm in support of a review by our prosecuting attorney. In the letter from the Treasury Department, it says in 3 separate places that the county is not authorized to levy a tax for the appropriation to a local council. And it also says from this same individual that he is not qualified to give an opinion on the legality. He says that. So I'm in support of Joe. I'd like to go through with this, but also have it reviewed by a prosecuting attorney.
Okay. And if she can review it by Monday, we meet next Monday night. So if we had to, we could make a change at that time and make sure it was handled on Monday if it was not sufficient tonight.
Could you show me what you were?
Yeah, I read that.
Okay, in the letter from Rugman, dated May 26, 1998, Alderman.
To Mr.
Page
Marchetti?
2,
Okay.
the 3rd paragraph under number 1, Dickinson County has no authority to levy and may not levy a tax for a private nonprofit county office, etc. Paragraph number 2 under number 2, and appropriate from time to time such The section does not authorize the county to levy a tax for the appropriation to a local council. And number 4, it reiterates the same thing. And then in the memo from him, he says,
But it also says at the end of that letter that we can do a tax. The very last sentence
Yes.
of that letter says, out of the 15 to 18 mills that we can levy with a statement on the millage, the property tax limitation, the allocation board, that it's for county veterans administration. So don't forget that.
Administration for veterans.
Veterans and
but in a memo where you asked him, can we do this, he says, our office does not approve or disallow millages or related proposals in order to make certain activity is legal when you obtain legal advice from an attorney.
They always say that, always. And he did say we did talk it over, and he did, and he said it was fine.
I
But
wish he had been willing to put that in writing.
they
for
never
us.
put anything in writing, ever. But that's better than what we normally get.
So the,
Go ahead, Joe.
I guess I'm in favor of, if I was sitting out there, I would be in favor of being self-contained, so to speak, getting a 1/10 mill to run my office as I see fit. If it's a county operation, there is some limitation, although we have the right to appoint a 3-to-5-man board. That board would oversee the office. We would have the right to appoint one county board member with one vote. That board could hire and fire, set hours and salary. If you're somewhat independent like you are now and getting a 1/10 bill, which is about $95,000, your board has total control. You can hire, fire, you can set hours, you can set benefits, you can do whatever you want with that amount of money. All you need is a contract, you need the budget, and you have to have an audit. If I was where you're at, that's what I would want. I wouldn't want the county board to be overseeing me. I don't always know who's going to be sitting on these boards in 5, 10, 15 years from now. You kind of know who you're going to have on your side. That's why I'm a little leery about waiting for the millage. If the millage passes in August, and we're going to have more dollars to spend, but would you be concerned of what the county's actually going to give you in 17? Speaking for myself, that would be a concern. I would rather you just have a 1/10 of a mill. If it's legal, and that's where we can do it, that's what I would prefer personally.
And thank you. I was looking under number 1 on that memo from, that you referred to. It says Dickinson County has no authority to levy and may not levy a tax for a private nonprofit county office of Veterans Affairs. Private nonprofit. That's my concern. Will they have to give up their nonprofit status? It's right in here that, you know, and I'm not saying that you have, I'm not an attorney either. But if somebody decides to file a lawsuit or a complaint, and we have to go all the way back to 1998, start all over again, everybody's going to be upset with us. We're trying to do this the right way. We want to take the right steps, make sure that all of our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted, and I'm highly in favor of you running your own show. You come to us every year and say, we need this amount of money, up to 1/10 of a mill, and here's our budget. We've got rent, we've got salaries, we've got benefits, we've got operating expenses, we've got this and this and this and this and this. You have to provide us with that information. That's part of the contract. Before, the agreement was we had to give you the money no matter what, and that was a problem. That was a problem because we didn't have the money to give you. This way, I think that, you know, you have to do some research, we have to do some research, and we can get this all started, but there is some time between now and November that we can get this all ironed out, and we can negotiate, we can talk about it. I just don't want to make any missteps here and have people's feelings or lives hurt in any way. You know, this, I just think that we have to be really careful here, because they already told us we couldn't do this once. And it was from this memo. So it's the same memo that we had in 1998. This is the same memo we're reading from now. There are changes to the law. This was, I looked at the 53 law. I looked at the 1899 law. We've actually expended about $175 for veterans relief, but we have also expended up about $4,000 for burials. That's part of our responsibility. Now, the other part of this is that if we put this in, then that responsibility for veterans relief falls on you. Is that correct? Is that the way the county uses it?
Okay, let's go back and read the final line of that statement again. It says, finally, if the millage increase is between the 15 and 18 mil limitation, the last line of the proposal should read, for the purpose of providing funds for the administration of veterans relief programs. So what does that say?
All I want on that, John, is a clarification from our prosecuting attorney that that's okay.
And
You don't have a lot of time, and you don't.
We got till Monday. We'll just-
You're
Okay.
pushing it.
I think we're all in agreement to put it on the ballot one way or the other. And I think all the research that the department mentioned, we got to make sure it's right. And Dolly, I hope you're not offended.
Oh, not at all.
Okay. You say that, I don't believe that. Okay.
Just one more comment. That, what I just said is my first preference. The second preference would be it to be part of the county. Either way, I'll vote for it. If it's a part of the county, it's going to cause some heartburn with us, me, because we've cut people and this and that, and now we're adding some more people. I think in the end, in my heart, for $100,000, do what's right for the veterans, I can agree with that. So, I'm kind of running the fence here, you know, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, independent, everybody, I'm a Green Party, I'm all here in one bowl, but I want to do what's best for the veterans. And I want it to be done in the night, and I want it to be legal, and then we'll move forward. And it's up to you and the community to vote.
Okay. Any other
Were we
comments?
supposed to approve the millage language tonight? Was that the original?
No, what we wanted to do tonight was pick two ways that you're gonna do it. If the millage passes or if it doesn't pass. And we're talking about the county millage now, okay? If you want a county agency or you don't. Because then you have to pick somebody to be on the allocation board. Because I'm assuming, from what I've heard, that's the way you want to go. You've got to do that, because I can't set a meeting in 4 or 5 days. You know, I got to get a hold of all these people. There's 6 to 8 people on there. We have 2 already, if you're going to do it. I mean, this is all up in the air. It has to be after the election, because you can't decide which way you want to go. So we got to know if the millage passes. If it doesn't pass, what do you want to do? And it's the allocation board that's holding us up.
Maybe this would be a good time to hear from our veterans and see what their preferences are. I'm sorry, I shouldn't probably have said that. You know, they're sitting out there, they've got their ideas of what they'd like to see. We put our ideas out there, and maybe it will help us make a decision. So I would motion that we move our citizens' time up into this discussion so that we can hear from the veterans.
I will second that.
Okay, moved by Bart, supported by John, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay, it's open to veterans, one or top Please limit the comments 5 minutes or less.
Mike Basham, 3975 High Mountain Road. You guys also know I'm on the Upper Peninsula Regional Coordinator for the Michigan Veteran Affairs Agency. And part of my duties is to work with the commissioners on when we have this kind of question. Okay, so Public Act 192, as you guys read that last time, Dolly did, in reference to the Act of 1953. It clearly states in there that you guys have the authority as a new mayor. My recommendation and the best way that it works that I've seen so far across the UP is you do that county act. You may do it, so you guys have to vote on it. Yes, you're correct, Joe. Then you have a 3 to 5 person board that oversees that veteran service officer, or that office. How many people it is. But those 3 people are no longer appointed by the judge, they're appointed by the county commissioners. So you guys elect those 3 people. The nominations comes from here. The nominations will come probably from American Legion, the VFW, people you know, and those are, so you want to get 3 strong people that are in charge of that county office. And then they stick with that 1/10 of a mil. Our budget is from there. We cannot go over that. So whatever that 1/10 of a mil raises, we have to make our office work with that 1/10 of a mil. And what we're saying, what I would like to see is, I want the people to vote. That 1/10 mil you're going to put in front in November, that's what we're shooting for, is let the people vote. That's what this is all about. Give them the vote.
We plan to do this.
So I don't like the idea of going with the contract way, because there's so many variables that can go wrong in contracts. Some of them work, some of them don't get me wrong. Elgin County's doing a contract, Lewis County's doing a contract. So I'm not saying it doesn't work, it can, but you still have to make it a county office. Otherwise, you're going to run into the problem Commissioner Kramer keeps bringing up. You're funding a nonprofit, you can't do that. It still has to be a county office, but you're going to have contractors working instead. My feeling is, if you got contractors or not, just make them county employees. It's not like you're hiring more, you agreed to, the people asked for this, or the people approved it. That's all we're asking for, the people approve it, correct?
The opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunity, exactly.
The journey.
So if you have any more questions, I think that is by far the best way to go, and we'll make it work with that 1/10 mil. I can assure you, Mike. So, we've looked at the numbers, I don't see that being a problem. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to address the board? Mike?
Mike Miller, 400 Lake Antoine Road. I agree with Barb and I agree with Ann that in the past, 1998, the county tried to fund a nonprofit through a millage, and that was said that you couldn't do that. And I believe, at least from my research, that still is the same. Whether you pass a millage for Habitat for Humanity or for the Girl Scouts or for my nonprofit, I don't think it's any different. And I think the opinion was pretty clear. That's when we came up with that agreement, or that's when the county came up with the agreement. The county and my office had a hard time meeting the requirements of that. You guys didn't fund us at the 1/10 of 1 mil, and in turn, we didn't do the things that we were supposed to do. My recommendation is to enact Public Act 192, create a county office of Veterans Affairs, and then at the same time, offer that as a suggestion to the voters to see if they want to pass it with a 1 mil millage. What I want to also let you know is that when you all cut the people and said that we had to reduce, I want to remind you that I said I would give up my job and let one of those part-time people take my job, so you wouldn't have lost that county employee. It's not about my job, it's about making sure that the veterans get served. So I want to make sure you understand that we're not trying to create another county job. You've had people laid off. I'm sure the county employee union regulations say if you create a job, then everybody else in the county gets first dibs at it. At that point, that would have been a great time to take one of those people that you had to lay off or reduce to half-time, move them over to my job. I would have been perfectly happy to stick around for a few months to train them, as I did in Delta County, and then we would all have been set. Our recommendation, the county council's recommendation, is to create an Office of Veterans Affairs, a county Office of Veterans Affairs, and then at the same time, ask if the voters will support that county Office of Veterans Affairs with its own separate millage. That's what we've wanted since last June and what we've recommended this entire time. Do you have any questions for me about?
You made it very clear. I'm looking at item number 1, along with the figure right now. I would, Mr. Chairman, if there's some time to order,
Any other citizen want to address the board at this point? Seeing none, go ahead, Joe.
We look at item number 1 on the agenda and proceed with that. So I want you to read it. Item number 1, you can do a millage not to exceed 1/10 mil and create a county agency. When you create a county agency, the soldiers and the service commission will be eliminated, and the Office of Veterans Affairs will do those duties. Judge Slagle is aware of this decision if you so desire. If the millage passes in November, you must create a county agency by December 31st, 2016, and the money cannot be levied until 2017. The third paragraph down would be, the language would be similar, which would be, shall the limitation, correct me if I'm wrong, shall the limitation of the amount of taxes which may be imposed on taxable property in the County of Dickinson, State of Michigan, be increased by 0.10 mils, 10 cents per $1,000 taxable valuation, for a period of 3, 4, 5, that's what we have to figure out, 10 years, or how long, inclusive, for the purpose of creating and maintaining a county Department of Veteran Affairs, which will provide support and assistance to veterans residing in Dickinson County, which increase shall raise in the first year of the levy, if fully captured, an estimated $98,500. The question that would also be is the longevity.
Mr. Chairman, I'll support that.
Okay, it's been supported.
Question, I would like to put in there 10 years, if not, at least 10 years.
I agree.
I have a question. Where do we get the up to? In other words, it says not to exceed, but if they don't need that kind of money to operate, why should we ask the taxpayers to pay that?
Well,
the library has it up to 0.9 mils, and sometimes they go to 0.9, sometimes they're at 0.85, sometimes they're at 0.8, and that changes due to needs. Where in here does that say that, or doesn't it say that in here we have to do someplace else?
We can not to exceed 1/10 of a mil.
Not to exceed, and that would be okay?
Mhm.
All right, so or it'd be up to,
Not to exceed.
Okay. I just want to make sure that,
Yeah.
because I was told that y'all didn't need the whole 1/10 of a mil right away, and that you could operate the office, a little bit more carefully, and you could do a really good job. So I just want to make sure that that's in there, not to exceed.
And you can always go for the 1/10 of a mil if they don't need it, and sometimes you may not need it for whatever reason, you don't have to levy it all. Just because we're asking for a 1/10 of a mil does not mean you have to levy it all.
That's basically what I was after. And so you understand where I'm coming from. If you don't need the money, we don't want to ask the taxpayers to give it to you. It's that simple. I just wanted to make sure that we have the language clear, and it was.
And nobody else gets the money either.
Nobody else gets the money either. Well, the taxpayers keep it in their pockets.
Joe? Does the county board determine the levy, or does the board that oversees veterans?
I think they would make the recommendations, Mr.
Yep,
They would make a recommendation.
just like the library does.
Okay, so, and you can say yea or nay.
Yep.
Yeah, every year the library sends us a request.
Same thing.
Yeah,
The budget.
and we vote once a year on the request. And like Bart said, there's been years we've cut it back.
The motion also includes further review by a prosecutor.
Okay, Joe, would you spell your motion out for Dolly?
I just did.
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
Okay, and John supported it, right, John?
Yes.
Okay, anything further from the board?
Regarding this vote? I don't know.
Okay, roll call, please.
Dagner,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Wender.
Aye. Motion's carried unanimously. Okay. Then that concludes everything.
I think we have to talk about it, that if our village doesn't pass.
Oh, that's another.
That is another issue. I don't think that should be tied in with this procedure that we just went through. We need to stabilize the Veterans Office so that they are funded to the expectations that they deserve. And I think this is the way we need to do it. And making an office, like we now are going with the office, let's do it and get that part done. I think the voters out there will look at it differently. You know, we're trying to do something. If you don't do nothing, nothing's gonna happen. And we'll keep
I think,
going on.
John, what Barb is getting at, though, if their millage should fail in November, there's no backup. Barb is saying it should be on there, that there would be a backup, right, Barb?
Well, I'm concerned about the millage, our millage in August.
And you still have 2 board meetings. We're not on the same kind of, we're on a time schedule, but not like we are if we have to have an allocation board meeting, which we don't now.
Okay.
So you do have 2 meetings to discuss that, yeah.
Okay, anything further? Other business, Joe?
One other item, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go out to bids for basketball courts at Lake Mantuan. We got 3 bids in for the concrete, but we're lacking bids for the construction of it. Called around, people just aren't bringing in their bids, so I'd like to advertise that in the paper for, not the concrete, but the reforming of the, pouring the concrete and settling and all that stuff. I have the bids right here.
I know that when I was doing the grant, it was estimated that the concrete would be about, I think it was $65.32 per cubic yard. And that's what I based the grant on, okay? Yeah, cubic yard, that was what I was told. And it's double that. Now, if we can't get that built, either with volunteers ourselves or getting some help, we're gonna have to return that money to QPAC, because that part of the grant was for specifically to enhance the place of the park. So, you know, I'd like to see if we can try to get some, you know, reasonable bids. I was under the impression that our park manager was going to pour the concrete, or he was going to form it himself. He was going to do that work. So the construction part of it was his responsibility.
Just going to qualify to do that.
Okay, well then, you know, I didn't get complete information when I wrote the grant, so that's what happens. You gotta have all your ducks in a row. And I apologize. I feel very badly that, you know, the figures that I was given aren't enough to make it happen right now, but maybe we can find somebody who's willing to step up. Maybe somebody's got some leftover concrete or something.
It's going to get done.
I think we should go with Joe's recommendation. Joe, the chair, would entertain the motion.
I move, Mr. Chairman, that we advertise bids for court 35 square, will be 4 inches thick with mesh fibers. Will require 15.5 yards of concrete, and the concrete will be purchased by the park system. So this is the work required: site prep, framing, grading, compacting, and cutting of concrete.
Okay, moved by Joe. Third, for John, further discussion.
I'm not, he's not, I'm not John.
Dolly, did you want something?
I just want to, she said she didn't copy.
Okay, all
Who supported
roll
it?
call, please.
I did.
Kramer?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Winder?
Aye,
Degnan?
Yes,
motion is carried.
One more quick thing. I want to thank John publicly for getting this ball rolling downhill. He's the one that pushed us, and I'm glad for that. Thank you, John. Also want to thank all of you for putting pressure on us and showing up at these meetings. And you said you're going to go and help us get this vote notice passed in August, and thank you for doing that. And thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Oh, okay. A motion be in order to recess and go pay the bills.
Move.
Moved
Did we
Joe.
have the other citizens time?
She eliminated by moving it forward.
Let's see if there's another.
Okay, anyone that want to address the board briefly? Okay, Mike?
I just want to say thank you. You don't know how much this means to the veterans of good Dickinson County. And I truly thank you for your support. And I think in the end, as we get through this, we're going to go through some little bumps in the beginning. That's normal as we get it up and running. But I see some very good advantages with him being a county office. One of the challenges we've had is an audit in the last few years. You know, I want to be responsible to our taxpayers. And this office needs to be audited every year. Taxpayers need to know, and they need to have the confidence that they know that the county is doing the right thing, i.e. the veterans in this example, that we're spending the money properly. So I just want to say thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, I guess.
Just one quick thing. Samuel Parr, 309 Blaine Street, Iron Mountain. You can rest assured that every one of my members of the American Legion is going to get a letter from me, making sure we get the support out for this vote. I know the commander of the VFW. You can bet that every member of the VFW is going to get a letter about this millage vote. We're going to do what we can to help you fund us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I overlooked commissioner's privilege. Anything from the board and Joe? Art? John?
I just want to thank you veterans for serving our country, and thank you for keeping us free. So.
Okay, and I'd just like to say, we've come to a conclusion. It's been hectic, and I'm glad it's resolved, and we can go forward. Okay, motion to recess and pay the bills.
So moved.
Suzanne, support Art. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?